Hey everyone, what's up? Thanks for watching my WrestleMania X9 review and staying with it. This is part 2. The show is super long, so I tried to break it up into 2 different parts. Brett Mix, please hit like and subscribe if you like my wrestling videos. We pump out videos on the daily. And let's pick up where we left off at WrestleMania 1. Part 1. WrestleMania X9. Triple H defended the world title against Booker T. This was a really methodical match. Both guys came at each other with strong offense, hard knife-edge chops, but this was still a very physical match. And Triple H dissected the legs of Booker T very well. Very well done by Triple H. Good game plan, some strategic wrestling, some classic wrestling by the game. And Booker T really didn't have an answer, but he did hit some moves out of desperation. He hit his moonsault, the bookend, the Houston hangover is what he calls that. When he was only essentially on one knee, Triple H would dissect the leg, put him in an Indian deathlock, and then he rolled over, and then he put him in a different version of an Indian deathlock. And Booker T just hit his scissors kick and the Houston hangover out of desperation. But Triple H put him away. Each time Booker T would look like he was going to win, Ric Flair on the outside would put Triple H's leg on the rope, or he'd distract the official, or he'd drop Booker T's leg onto the steel steps. Again, this match is controversial. I said it in the last part of the last review. I said, excuse me. I said if they're going to do a risky storyline, sorry if I clear my throat a couple times. I'd rather do that than talk like this. If they're going to do a storyline, so if they're going to do a storyline with racism, but the only way out of it would be Booker T winning. But they didn't have Booker T win, so that's a problem. In the end, in 1847, Triple H covered Booker T after a pedigree, after a half a minute of both men doing nothing. Booker T did his scissors kick, and he sold the leg, so he didn't pin him for a minute. Triple H hits his pedigree out of nowhere after all the leg work, and then no one does anything for half a minute. And Triple H gets an arm over, and then boom, that does it. There was too much before the match to not call it a classic. I think it's, honest to God, Booker T's best WWE match. Of right now, I can't think of a better one. I know he wrestled Chris Benoit and Bret Hart in WCW to some better matches, but I can't think of a better WWE match than this match for Triple H here. I think it's his finest hour, even though he went out the loser. He was the ultimate winner in the fans' minds. And yeah, Triple H winning didn't sit well with everybody. I still remember going online after that event, and people think it's bad now. There was fans back then, so imagine the uproar times a million. Yeah, but people were mad as hell that Jericho and Booker T didn't go over, but Shawn and Triple H did. It kind of felt like they were pushing the wrong people, and the past was winning and not the present. Certainly an arguable point. I don't disagree with it. 20 years in the making. My voice seems to be better. Thanks for sticking with that. That was just terrible. Just the worst possible fucking time, too. It just comes. Alright. 20 years in the making. Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon. Oh yeah, that Booker T Triple H match? 4 stars. Hulk Hogan and Vince never saw eye to eye, and this was such a good video introduction into their rivalry. About how both men made wrestling, both men made WrestleMania. Who was it? Was it Vince or was it Hogan? The truth always lies in the middle, but which side was going to prevail? The answer is both men made WrestleMania, but you can't say it that way because one of them will want to take more credit than the other. We all know it was a joint. I mean, maybe you have a side that says Hogan was more important. Maybe you have a side that says Vince is more important, but the way you have those sides, it provides my answer, my explanation for my answer that it was both, because there are 2 sides to that. This match was actually better than anyone thought it would be, in my opinion. They did a lot with weapons. McMahon bladed to hell. He grabbed steel chairs. They went outside the ring. They brawled everywhere. Hogan kicked the shit out of Vince. There was times where Vince get like a low blow here and there, and then he would take it to Hogan, but Hogan just kicked the shit out of him. Vince then, later in the match, sets up a ladder in between the tables and continued to choke Hogan. McMahon went for a huge bump off the ladder, all bloodied in the air. Vince, from the top of the ladder, asked for Hogan's fans, and then he hits his own move, the leg drop on him through a table. Unbelievable. After that moment, Vince knows this is going to put Hogan, and he still couldn't get it done. McMahon looked everywhere for something, and now with a sadistic look in his eye, he found a pipe. How ironic that he found a pipe. You'll see what I mean in a minute here. Vince has the pipe, and what sounds like pipe. I'll go into that later. Hulk Hogan nailed Vince in the grapefruits. Vince down with the pipe. Forget the pipe, add a R. In comes Piper. Taz then marks out as does Seattle, and he screams, "No way! It's Roddy Piper!" As the Hot Rod returns to a great ovation. The Macho Man fan in me can't help but think, what if that was the Macho Man that came back? That would have been pretty cool too. Roddy Piper goes to hit Vince originally, but he ends up hitting Hogan to a mixed reaction. McMahon crawls over for the pin. A bloody Vince can't beat the Hulkster even after Piper's interference. The outruns Sylvain Grenier, the Montreal ref, who back from No Way Out had helped McMahon. Hogan hulked up and did his U to Vince. He ended up beating Vince in the ring at 20:48. After the match, Shane McMahon came out to check on McMahon, and he gave him a good head nod. This was really great, dramatic storytelling. 2 stars and 3/4. That could even get 3 stars, but I'll give that 2 stars and 3/4. It was done very well. The Rock versus Austin, Act 3. While filming the Mania of WrestleMania, we took a look at Austin's life and how real things were, despite it being a show, obviously. But that's what the match here is all about, emotion. From Jim Ross's call to the legendary feud, to what both men meant to the business and the fans from each other. This is what Rock needed, finally, a win over Austin at WrestleMania. And Austin almost died the night before. He talks about it in his book. How he had almost a heart attack. His blood pressure was up at a heart attack level. He thinks it's because of the energy drinks plus the stress, training for the big match. So he was doing like hell to even get to this match. Jim Ross is in the hospital with Austin, and then they both. That's why when Austin comes out, Jim Ross calls him the toughest son of a bitch in the WWE because of what he had gone through the night before. But in Austin's book, he says it has to happen. Putting over Rock has to happen. Not that Rock wasn't over, but putting Rock over Austin at a WrestleMania. That has to happen. Austin kept saying in his book, he said even if he had one leg, he'd still go out there. So that's why Jim Ross says he has earned the reputation as the toughest son of a bitch in the WWE. There is never one that ever laced their boots any more intense, ever with the will to win more than Stone Cold Steve Austin. He grew up from Edna, Texas, grew up wanting to be here, wanting to do this. This was his life. This was his destiny. And then Austin poses on the turnbuckle for the fans with his initials OMR on his vest. One more round. Rock earlier mentioned Act 1 and Act 2 do not matter, but Act 3 is. Now he had a chance to prove it, and the tension was built. As Is Cookin' drives on the Titantron, and everybody in the place stands up. Rock and Austin go eye to eye in familiar territory, and it's already a climax, and the bell hasn't even rung. Austin just wanted to get through the match in real life and put over Rock, but the fans and Rock, everybody else wanted a spectacle, and the bell rang. Rock and Austin take off as they usually do, but Austin gets to take his vest off. two WrestleManias ago, Austin forgot his vest, but this time he gets to take it off by choice. This time, Austin and The Rock go at it as mentioned. Hebner yells for The Rock to get back in the ring after a lot of sequences go down. It was a no DQ match. You could have fooled me, it looked like. Rock then slaps on Austin's vest as lack of respect is shown. Austin shot back while The Rock had Austin's vest on. Luthez pressed to a giant roar as Austin comes back in the match. And an emotional spot for the very best of all time. Stone Cold Steve Austin landed out shots on The Rock, and Seattle got hot here. Austin with everything, and then flipped the official off the ropes that lifted his fingers as the crowd cheered. JR says, "Oh hell yeah," as Austin stomped The Rock in the corner who was wearing his vest with one good leg as the fans chant "what" after each pound by Austin, after each leg thump into Rock's chest. All of a sudden, Stone Cold Rock bottoms The Rock wearing Austin's vest, a 2 count. Stone Cold, The Rock slowly rose and caught Austin's leg and flipped him to the side. And The Rock then stuns Austin and he gets a near fall as the rattlesnake kicks out. Austin had The Rock down and he was waiting a few hard shots. The Rock came back with some hard shots, a double flip, a spit to the palm, and then Austin flipped him off with a stunner. Huge ovation as The Rock was getting mustered up, all that energy and emotion, but Austin just says "fuck you" and it's the stunner. Huge pop from Seattle's Safeco Field. Both men down, and Austin could have put The Rock away, but he slowly crawled and he gave a spine buster followed by an elbow drop. The Rock then hit a low blow. Rock goes to the top rope and lands an elbow. Will it be enough? Stone Cold managed to kick out as The Rock's eyes widened. Rock screams out, "The rattlesnake will not die." Crowd chant for Austin and Rock makes fun of them. Rock goes for a rock bottom and Austin kicks out. Rock backs up in disbelief, as if Austin can't be beaten at WrestleMania. Austin has knee ripped. Austin tried to elbow his way desperately out of the rock bottom, but the rock bottom hits it. But he hits another rock bottom, and he goes for a pinfall. And Austin kicked out again. The Rock then backed up for a third time and couldn't believe it. The Rock hits a third rock bottom to the crippled rattlesnake, and that gets to 3. So Rock had been waiting for this moment for years, and he finally had it as The Rock's music hit. In the end, at 17:53, The Rock ended Austin's career after 3 rock bottoms. He kisses his family at ringside, but before that, he pushes Earl Hebner to the side and tells Austin what he meant to him and that he loved him. And he'll never know what it meant to him, and maybe something else that the fans didn't get to know. Steve toasted the crowd. He was just happy that he got done and out of it in one piece. I rate it 4.5 stars when you consider the trilogy, when you consider the emotional investment, you consider that it's WrestleMania, you consider all these facts. I have to give it 4.5 stars. Absolutely. Austin goes out on his own terms, putting over The Rock at WrestleMania. Main event, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. Now, I talk about chain wrestling and amateur wrestling. These two guys, it's a shoot when they first go at it. Just like Angle and Benoit at WrestleMania 17. They do the leverage game. Who can have more takeovers? Who can have more takedowns? And then whoever's up does a side headlock, whoever's down goes into the head scissors and busts right out. And these two guys they do it brilliantly. My all-time dream match is Brock Lesnar versus Bret Hart. That's my all-time dream match. So you can understand how much I like Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. The size thing. Anybody like Angle and Benoit or Eddie versus somebody of size like Diesel, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. It's even better if they're a submission specialist like Lesnar, who has the power and the submission style. But that's what I like. And this match started off that way. There was a reverse headlock by Angle in this match that lasted about 2.5 minutes long, and a lot of the crowd was... This had been a long night with a lot of memorable events, a lot of memorable matches on the night, so the crowd was a little asleep when Angle hit his reverse shinlock on Lesnar. But my God, These guys went to war, and this was a fucking submission specialist match. This was just, they left everything out in the ring. There's a sign that said, "Thank you, Kurt," at ringside for doing this match, but both guys deserve the props. Michael Cole lost his voice by this time in the match. The bell rings, and both men really did everything when it comes to chain wrestling. An arm wringer into a side headlock, leg scissors. Brock gets out of it. Both people go eye to eye. Round 2. Another waist lock, go behind, a standing switch into a leg scissors by Angle, into a side headlock, take over by Angle. Angle using his size to the ground Lesnar. Off the ropes comes Angle into a powerful shoulder block by Lesnar. Brock hops around and sold the lower back. Angle tries a single leg takedown, trips the other. Brock sneaks up behind with another takeover to Angle. Brock elbowed the face, but Lesnar was able to hit an arm drag on Kurt into an armbar, into an overhead wrist lock. And then Angle lands cheap shots to the abdomen of Brock. Angle reverse Irish whip and catches the elbow of Brock, who then proceeds to spear Angle in the corner. Brock sends Angle into the other corner, and he lifts him. Angle just gets a shoulder up on the mat in a pinning attempt. Brock in control until Angle hits a standing switch and a German suplex, which completely flips Lesnar over. Angle was smart then to take control and gain leverage over the bigger Brock, who was starting to dominate the match. Kurt Angle goes for a German suplex. Angle with nice psychology, working on the injured ribs of Lesnar and taking out the back of the spine of the Beast with all his suplexes. Angle drops Lesnar with a vertical suplex. Angle had the game plan here with uppercuts to Lesnar's left and right in the corner. Angle then grounded Lesnar in a major way on the mat. Seattle tried to get the next big thing back in the match, but Angle had a leg lock slapped on perfectly. Brock then reaches to the ropes with his big size, utilizes that, get to the ropes to get out of the escape. Both men down as the official counts, as they ran into each other with a double clothesline. Angle then goes for a belly-to-belly. Brock with an overhead belly-to-belly, got him a counter and a huge suplex. Just got him a 2 count. Unbelievable that Angle had a bad neck when you consider all these moves, and you consider how perfect they were too. Angle had Lesnar in the ankle lock until Brock reached the ropes. In desperation, Angle switched to a half crab and worked on the injured ribs of Lesnar by grounding them and applying the pressure with his knee into the back of Brock. Angle then with a charged Brock, who elevated himself up. Lesnar buys himself for some time as he moved out of the way. Angle hit the ring post, and the damage had been done to Angle. Brock Lesnar moves as agile as he can, and he charged into the corner where Angle was, and he spears him. Another go behind waistlock by Angle, though, out of desperation, and he hits an arm wringer back to a belly to belly overhead suplex. Wow. Angle could still not put away Brock Lesnar after that belly to back overhead suplex out of desperation. Kurt drops Brock with the Angle slam, but Brock kicks out again. Unreal. Angle then goes for another Angle slam, but Lesnar surprises him with an inside cradle, but only a 2 count. Lesnar drops Angle with the F5 as everybody pops, but Angle kicks out. Angle finds Brock in an ankle lock yet again, both in the middle of the ring, and Angle goes right to the ropes. There's a second F5. Now the Brock Lesnar had Angle down, and instead of pinning him, he went to the ropes, to the top rope, and he missed hitting a shooting star press from the top. Not knowing what to do, as that was supposed to be the finish, Brock picked up Angle and hit him with another F5 for the victory, and we have a new WWE Champion in Brock Lesnar. I give this match 4.5 stars, but it could easily be more than that. This event, I give it a 9 out of 10. This, you can argue this is the greatest Mania. This is the greatest pay-per-view. It's definitely one of the most rewatchable pay-per-views because of all the matches and spectacle that takes place that night in Seattle. Such a great event. I had a great time reviewing it. Thank you for watching part 1 and part 2 if you watched both, or if you even watched part 2, just watching anything. Thank you for being here. Leave a comment, a like, subscribe. Any of that will help my algorithm and me greatly. But just your presence here means a lot to me. So this was an amazing WrestleMania. 9 out of 10 for WrestleMania 19. I'm Brett Mix, and we'll see you on the next one.